The Queen who refused to marry. I will never marry. I am married to England. With these words, Elizabeth Tudor rejected every king in Europe. She became the most dangerous woman on the continent. Because for the first time in history, a queen looked at marriage, the one thing every woman was supposed to want, and said, no. Kings proposed. She refused them all. They called her the Virgin Queen. They thought she was weak. They were wrong. This is the story of how one woman's refusal to marry changed the world forever. Let's be clear about something. Elizabeth didn't refuse marriage because she was romantic or idealistic. She refused because she had watched marriage destroy every woman in her family. Her mother, Anne Boleyn, beheaded by her father when Elizabeth was just 2 years old. Her stepmother, Catherine Howard, beheaded when Elizabeth was 8. Her half-sister Mary married King Philip II of Spain, became his puppet, and died hated by her own people. Elizabeth learned early, marriage wasn't about love, it was about power. And for a queen, marriage meant handing your crown to a man. When Elizabeth became queen in 1558 at age 25, every ruler in Europe immediately started plotting, not to conquer England, to marry her. Because whoever married Elizabeth would control England. Her country would become his property, her armies, his armies, her wealth, his wealth. The proposals flooded in and all bachelors thought the same thing. She's just a woman. She'll have to choose one of us eventually. But Elizabeth had other plans. Let's talk about the men who tried to win England's crown through marriage, and how Elizabeth played them all. First up, King Philip II of Spain. The most powerful king in Europe, ruler of the largest empire on earth. Oh, and one tiny detail. He was Elizabeth's former brother-in-law. He'd been married to her half-sister Mary, who had just died. Philip proposed to Elizabeth within months. Not because he loved her, he barely knew her. He wanted England back under Spanish control. Elizabeth's response? She strung him along for years, hinting she might consider it, using the possibility to keep Spain from invading. She never had any intention of saying yes. Marrying Philip would have made England a Spanish colony. Philip eventually gave up and married a French princess instead. Years later, he sent the Spanish Armada to conquer England by force, and Elizabeth crushed it. Then there was King Eric XIV of Sweden. He was so desperate to marry Elizabeth that he sent proposal after proposal for years. He sent ambassadors loaded with gifts. He wrote passionate letters. He even sent his brother to England to negotiate on his behalf. Elizabeth's strategy? She politely thanked him, praised his virtues, and did absolutely nothing. She kept him hoping for nearly a decade while she used the possibility of a Swedish alliance to threaten other suitors. Poor Eric eventually went mad, literally. He had a mental breakdown, murdered several nobles, and was overthrown by his own brother. France sent not one, not two, but multiple princes to try their luck. First was Prince Henry, Duke of Anjou, the future King Henry III of France. He was 20 years younger than Elizabeth. The negotiations got serious until Henry's mother, Catherine de' Medici, demanded Elizabeth convert to Catholicism, and Elizabeth refused. When Henry lost interest, France immediately offered his younger brother, Francis, Duke of Alençon. Francis was short, pockmarked from smallpox, and 20 years younger than Elizabeth. And yet, this proposal went the furthest. Elizabeth called him her frog. Yes, really. Flirted with him publicly and even gave him a ring. For years, everyone thought she might actually marry him, but she didn't. She used the engagement to secure a French alliance against Spain, then quietly let it die when she got what she wanted. The Archduke Charles of Austria pursued Elizabeth for over a decade. The Holy Roman Empire desperately wanted this marriage to strengthen ties with England. Negotiations dragged on for years. Ambassadors travelled back and forth. Contracts were drafted. Charles remained hopeful. Elizabeth's objection? She insisted on meeting him first before agreeing to marriage. This was radical. Royal marriages were political contracts, not dating arrangements. Charles refused to travel to England without a guarantee she'd marry him. Elizabeth refused to guarantee anything without meeting him first. Stalemate. The proposal died. Elizabeth got to look reasonable while avoiding the altar once again. But there was one man who almost changed everything. His name was Robert Dudley, childhood friend, devastatingly handsome, ambitious, and possibly the only man Elizabeth ever truly loved. The court whispered constantly about them. Foreign ambassadors reported they were lovers. Some claimed they were secretly married. When Dudley's wife mysteriously died by falling downstairs and breaking her neck, the scandal exploded. Many believed Dudley murdered her to marry Elizabeth. Elizabeth wanted to marry him. The evidence suggests she was desperate to marry him. But she couldn't. If she married Dudley, a mere English nobleman, then she'd lose respect from foreign powers. She'd look weak, choosing love over strategy. Her legitimacy would crumble, and the other English nobles, jealous of Dudley's rise, might rebel. So she made the hardest choice of her life. She kept him close, showered him with titles and estates, probably loved him until the day she died, but never married him. It destroyed them both emotionally. Dudley eventually married someone else in secret. Elizabeth was reportedly furious, but she never punished him. She understood. She'd chosen England over him. He chose companionship over waiting forever. This is what ruling alone really meant. Sacrificing everything personal for power. Elizabeth's refusal to marry had massive consequences. Some intended, some not. When we are talking about the positive consequences, the first and biggest advantage was that England remained independent. No foreign king ever controlled the country through marriage. Secondly, she personally controlled all decisions. When Spain launched the Armada in 1588, Elizabeth didn't need a husband's permission to rally her troops. She rode out in armour herself. Thirdly, her 45-year reign brought unprecedented stability. England transformed from a weak, divided nation into a global power. And lastly, the arts flourished. Shakespeare wrote during her reign, creating the English Renaissance. There were also some complicated consequences. The first and biggest one was, of course, that Elizabeth never produced an heir, leaving succession uncertain her entire reign. Another serious consequence was that conspiracies and assassination plots were constant because everyone knew, kill Elizabeth and the throne is up for grabs. And finally, her relationship with Mary, Queen of Scots, her Catholic cousin and rival, ended with Elizabeth reluctantly signing Mary's death warrant. The succession crisis made that murder politically necessary. Elizabeth's refusal to marry also had some revolutionary consequences. She proved a woman could rule alone successfully. Furthermore, she created the image of the Virgin Queen, married to England, belonging to no man. This wasn't just propaganda. It was a radical redefinition of female power. Here's what the history books often skip. Elizabeth probably wasn't celebrating her single status. She was surviving it. Letters and accounts from people close to her suggest she struggled with her decision. She wanted love, companionship, perhaps children, but she wanted power more. Or rather, she understood that in her world, she couldn't have both. The famous portraits of Elizabeth, with white makeup, elaborate ruffs and crowns, weren't just fashion, they were armour. The older she got, the more artificial and mask-like her appearance became. The Virgin Queen wasn't a woman anymore. She was a symbol, an icon, an institution. She sacrificed her humanity to embody power itself. When she died in 1603 at age 69, she had ruled for 45 years, one of the longest reigns in English history. She died alone, never married, no children, having given everything to her country. Her last words were reportedly about her succession, ensuring peace even in death. I will never marry. I am married to England. Elizabeth I didn't refuse marriage because she hated men or romance. She refused because she understood something the men around her couldn't grasp. For a queen in the 16th century, marriage was surrender. So she played the game better than anyone. She rejected the King of Spain, the King of Sweden, multiple French princes, the Archduke of Austria, and dozens of English noblemen. She turned her marriageability into a weapon, her virginity into a brand, and her solitude into strength. She proved that a woman could rule alone, not because it was easy, not because it was fulfilling, but because she was willing to pay the price. The Virgin Queen died without heirs, but her legacy lives forever. Power doesn't require a king. Sometimes it requires refusing one. If you like this video, please hit like and subscribe buttons. I am unveiling the queens every week, so please check my other videos too.